Murders have dropped by 30%, but executions have dropped by 75%, and new death sentences have dropped by more than 85%. It's a combination of a number of things, I think. One is we now have 164 people who've been exonerated after having been wrongly convicted and wrongly sentenced to death. The second is folks have become more aware of how frail some of the evidence is that people are sentenced on.
Well, in the day, years back, I was in favor of it. But then I got older and I realized that there are people on death row that are put to death that have been found innocent later on. And even though we have DNA testing and we're better at investigating, there are still people that are put to death that years later are found innocent. And because of that, I am not in favor of it. Put them in jail for the rest of their life, no parole, done.
What happened back in '89 was the Supreme Court said, look, if it's an offender under the age of 16, it simply is not appropriate punishment to execute that individual. Now we need to look at what's happened in the past 15 years in terms of the opinion across the country, what we know about the development of youth, their brain development, their capacity for making decisions, their maturity level, and whether this is still good law. That's why the Supreme Court is hearing this case, to take another look at that capacity issue of these offenders, whether the death penalty is appropriate or whether it is indeed cruel and unusual punishment.
Keeping every murderer alive cheapens human life because it belittles murder. That's easily proven. Imagine that the punishment for murder were the same as the punishment for driving over the speed limit. Wouldn't that belittle murder and thereby cheapen human life? Of course it would. Society teaches how bad an action is by the punishment it metes out.
The death penalty is barbaric and uncivilized. It would seem to violate the cruel and unusual clause of the United States Constitution. Can we really be a civilized society even if we kill our own citizens? The death penalty is expensive. In the United States, it is often several times more expensive to execute someone than it is to sentence them to a life in prison. The death penalty may kill innocent people. Our justice system is not without flaws, and there are plenty of cases where someone is convicted of a crime and then later found to be innocent. With life imprisonment or other punishments, they can at least be released after it is discovered.
I personally don't support the use of the death penalty, mostly because I think it poses a greater risk to somebody if they are potentially innocent. Because there just been not a huge amount, but enough cases where things come to light or new technology is available and people get exonerated. So I just feel like it's too final, clearly, of a punishment. And also I just don't feel that another person potentially has that power over another person to take away their life.